Whether or not this particular hearing is necessary. I know it was called by the Assembly. We'll see what they have to say. I'm mainly here as an observer today.
Okay, very good. And any thoughts on simple approval?
We have put an end to that, and I think that was a good decision. What we'll do in lieu of it is to be determined. The immediate effects will have impacts on our service efficiency, but we'll work to find ways to overcome that.
Thank you.
The Assemblyman just said they spent $300,000, or $300,000 has been spent by BART appealing a determination of Ca-Osha that there were unsafe working conditions at BART. What's your response to that?
My understanding, when I was briefed about the Ca-Osha matter, was it wasn't an appeal against bad safety things, etc. It was more a concern about how it was classified.
But those were determinations of Ca-Osha that there were violations of health and safety process. That's being appealed by BART. Do you support that appeal?
I support what BART has told me, which is not that.
But they spent $300,000 in public funds.
Correct, and I was one of the board members who authorized that.
So you support that, appealing the determinations of Ca-Osha?
I do.
Well, on what basis do you support that appeal?
Because the appeal is based on, it's very complicated to articulate here. It's based on accusations, not the underwriting facts.
Well, why have they changed their policies then?
Why we just did change our policies on the simple approval.
So why aren't you dropping the appeal?
We are not dropping the appeal because of the accusatory claims involved with it.
Who do you think is responsible for the deaths of those two workers?
That is to be determined. We're having that objectively evaluated by the NTSB.
Do you think it was a mistake to try to train people, untrained people on BART during the strike?
I believe that our contract allows us to train workers after the once the contract expires, we're allowed to train workers.
You support that decision?
I don't have any immediate opposition to it.
So you supported the training of untrained people to run BART when they were on strike?
They were not untrained. Okay.
There
were trained operators there who were training others to become certified.
But there was no certified person in the cab.
Yes, there was. There were certified people in the cab and immediately outside training the trainees.
That's not what the NTSC said.
That's what I have heard.
So you think that it's proper, your procedures, and there was nothing wrong with what happened?
I supported the training of trainees with the trained operators, yes.
What about the death of James Strickland? What were the lessons from that death?
I wasn't around at that time. I can't provide an informed response to that.
Well, Ca-Osha said there were serious health and safety violations after that death that are now being appealed by BART.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on that?
And again, what I've been told by BART is what we're appealing is not the underlying facts surrounding it, but the accusatories surrounding it.
Now, you issued a statement to your constituents in which you attacked the BART workers, their demands and their wages, and this deal that was proposed. In your statement, there was no mention of the deaths of the two workers. Is there any reason that you did not mention those deaths?
Because I do not view it as related to the strike. I view it as an isolated matter surrounding our simple approval process.
So those deaths would have taken place regardless if there's a strike or not?
It's hard to say. I don't view the strike in that as intrinsically related.
Don't you think that the deaths had something to do with the strike?
I'm not inclined to support that claim, no.
That there would have been working there like that without a strike? Is that what you're saying?
The simple approval could have and likely would have been granted.
So they would have been training these people even if there was not a strike?
Yes, these operators were in training long before the strike. They were not brought in at the time that the strike happened. They were continuing their training.
So this was a regular operator that was being trained to take jobs?
A regular operator was training new trainees who entered their training course before the strike took place.
So these were new hires to train? Is that what you're saying?
These were new hires who were getting trained, and they began their training before the strike.
So the guy that was running the train was being trained to run on a regular basis the trains. He wasn't a special worker that was brought in to replace the workers.
There were, I think, 5 or so workers. I forget the exact number, some of which were trainees, others were trainers, experienced operators.
So as far as you're concerned, that was a good process?
I don't see anything that I would oppose to with it.
Okay, thank you.